Yeah, turning to the Sport of Kings, SportsMax having you covered with Royal Ascot. Day 3 lived up to its billing, delivering memorable moments on and off the track. On the track, King of Ascot, Frankie Dettori, continued to have a wonderful swan song year as he rode the 15-2 Courage Mon Ami to take the prestigious Gold Cup.
Richard Hoyles with a big race call.
Of the Royal meeting, Yabir was slow into stride. He was the one that gave him a couple of length starts. So the early stages of the Gold Cup. It's Lone Eagle, who's up in trips, taking a bit of a grip out in the lead, and Subjectivist is gradually moving to the front. Lone Eagle's raced fiercely through the first furlong towards the inside in that headgear. Emily Dickinson and Broome, the Aidan O'Brien pair, are disputing third place at this stage. Coltrane has settled in roundabout fifth place on the outside of Wise Eagle. Echoes in Rain comes next. Eldar Eldarov just a bit scratchy through the first furlong and a half there. Stride out with any great purpose on the outside of Courage Mon Ami. And Big Call and Yabir was restrained on jumping out at the back markers. So Subjectivist has adopted this front-running role. As expected, makes his way across the intersection. Has the advantage by just over a length. Lone Eagle is in second. Emily Dickinson races in third. Broome in the check colours in fourth place, just ahead of Wise Eagle, who races in fifth. In sixth place is Coltrane, just ahead of Echoes in Rain on the inside of Nate's the Great. Then we have Courage Mon Ami alongside Eldar Eldarov, and the back pair are Big Call and Yabir. So Subjectivist has the lead from Lone Eagle, who continues to race a little keenly in second despite taking the trail. As the crowd send them out on their final circuit, Subjectivist just beginning to press on slightly. There's now about 6 lengths between first and third, and that third is Emily Dickinson with Broome, then Wise Eagle and Coltrane as they turn away from the stand. It's Echoes in Rain races on the inside of Nate the Great, Eldar Eldarov on the outside of Courage Mon Ami, who has 2 behind at this stage. As they make the turn, they are Big Call and Yabir. And Yabir would now be about 15 lengths behind Subjectivist. Just scatters the pigeons as they race inside the final mile and a half. Subjectivist by 2 lengths. In second place is Lone Eagle, 4 lengths back to Emily Dickinson, a length and a half to Broome. Wise Eagle in fifth on the inside of Coltrane, then Echoes in Rain in the green and red, Nate's the Great, Eldar Eldarov racing on the outside of Courage Mon Ami, Frankie Dettori currently 3 from the back, with Big Call and Yabir. Well, this is where Subjectivist won his Gold Cup 2 years ago. He stole away on the descent to Swinley Bottom. Has the lead by about 4 lengths. He's increased the advantage over Lone Eagle, but not necessarily over the rest of the field, because Lone Eagle has dropped back into only a length in advance of Emily Dickinson, Broome, and then Wise Eagle. Behind these Coltrane, who sat mid-division throughout, with Echoes in Rain, Nate's the Great, Courage Mon Ami, Eldar Eldarov, Big Call, and Yabir, who for the first time has just closed up to be amongst horses, albeit right at the back. So Subjectivist now moves on by about 4. In third place, Emily Dickinson. Ryan Moore's just moved Emily Dickinson off the fence, still only in third, just guaranteeing Lone Eagle's not going to end up in his lap. Broome is fourth as now they begin the turn, and this is where stamina will really begin to tell. The steady climb uphill in the Gold Cup. In fifth place is Wise Eagle. Coltrane in sixth, Echoes in Rain, Nate the Great, Eldar Eldarov, Courage Mon Ami, Big Call, and still at the back is Yabir. Subjectivist just trying to fill the tank out in front. Lone Eagle closes to within about a length and a half as they climb uphill and make their way towards the final 5 furlongs. Emily Dickinson, then Broome. Behind these, Coltrane just beginning to try and move a little bit closer on the outside of Wise Eagle. Behind these, Eldar Eldarov is beginning to make a move. Striped colours. Courage Mon Ami tries to get on his back with Big Call and Yabir. So they're well bunched now. Subjectivist to the first time feeling some pressure for a rival, and that rival's Lone Eagle as they begin now to make the turn. Coltrane has moved steadily through the field, is now joint third with Emily Dickinson. Then behind these, Broome, Eldar Eldarov is very wide round the bend as they straighten, and now in the lead, Lone Eagle kicks for glory. Coltrane and Emily Dickinson, then Echoes in Rain. On the inside, Courage Mon Ami is making ground for Frankie Dettori. It's getting messy out wider. Coltrane has the lead. Courage Mon Ami in the red cap. Subjectivist on the inside. Then Emily Dickinson. Courage Mon Ami for Frankie Dettori. Moves alongside Coltrane. The 2 fight out the Gold Cup. Courage Mon Ami, but on the inside, still fighting back Coltrane. Courage Mon Ami with the red cap. Frankie Dettori will win on his final Gold Cup ride. But John and Thady Gosden, Courage Mon Ami remains unbeaten.
Yeah, what a stunning performance that by Frankie Dettori. The win aboard Courage Mon Ami, Dettori's 9th Gold Cup success now, 2 behind the legendary jockey Lester Piggott. And this is what he had to say following that ride. Unbelievable. I thought it was a bridge too far from handicaps, but I had the perfect race. He's still a baby, but when Coltrane came back, he picked up again. Lance Whitaker, what a ride.
Oh, that was stunning. And you know what? You just repeated his words after the race, said he had the perfect race. But you recognize that he was in the back 3 for 80% of the race. And when he started his winning run, there wasn't any racing room on the rail where he was. So he had to switch his horse 4 wide to come on the outside to get the room for the win. So although he said it was a perfect race, here it is. He's in the red cap there. There's no space for him to go through the 3 horses in front of him. So he steers his horse away from them. And Courage Mon Ami shows a lot of quality here. Coltrane, who was the favorite, fights him with Oisin Murphy right down to the wire. And there are a couple of things significant about this win here, Ricardo. One, Frankie Dettori's skill and race smart to save ground on the rail for pretty much the entire race until he needed to come off the rail. The next thing is that this is a handicap horse who has never raced in a Group 1 race before. So although he was bet at 15-2, which he was like 3rd or 4th favorite, wasn't expected to win, that was so because there are better horses in the race on quality based on what we had seen before. So for Subjectivist was a winner of the Gold Cup two years ago. Coltrane was a favorite. So for Frankie Dettori to take a handicap horse into a Group 1 race, the Gold Cup to boot, and win says a lot about Frankie Dettori's quality as a rider and the training feat of Taddy and John Gosden, because I think Dettori praised the trainer at the end of the race as well for the fantastic job he did, because prior to now, the horse hadn't shown Group 1 quality, although it had, shown quality before, had won 4 races, unbeaten, but never in this kind of field. The other thing is that this race was 2.5 miles long. The longest race Courage Mon Ami had run before this was 1 mile and 6 furlongs. So he did a lot of things unbelievably today, and Frankie Dettori was in the middle of the tramp.
Yeah, I guess maybe to the untrained eye, Lance, but I thought that move to go, 3 or 4 wide looked really dangerous, especially for a jockey that will serve a 9 race day suspension for dangerous riding only a couple of days ago.
Yeah, well, it looked that way because he had to do what he did swiftly and change course swiftly. But he didn't interfere with any other horse. He didn't get into the path of any other horse. All he was doing was getting into a clear racing path. That's what he did. Now, the horses are traveling at 40 plus miles per hour. So I think that's why it looked to you as if it was a dangerous move, because he suddenly just took his horse from the rail and just worked his way 4 wide of the other 3 horses that were in front of him. But he didn't impede any other horse. And based on the acceleration of his horse, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, well, I guess you call that expert riding. Day 3 of the Royal Ascot also saw a royal winner. King Charles and Queen Camilla celebrated their first win at Royal Ascot after their horse, Desert Hero, took home the King George V Stakes. And Lance, the victory came with a cash prize of approximately £50,000, although you would think they probably don't need it.
That's chump change. That's chump change. And this wasn't one of the major races, because the Gold Cup that we just saw had £600,000 overall purse. So the winner gets about £300,000 for the Gold Cup. So this was one of the lesser events on the card. But King Charles, in his first Royal Ascot meet since he has taken over as the head of the monarchy there in England, celebrating a fine win. And there's nothing like Royal Ascot. I went to the Ascot racetrack back in 1986, Ricardo, when
1986?
I was I was at the BBC studying at the time. I didn't want to miss the opportunity of experiencing Ascot. So it was the Royal Ascot meet, but I went to the Ascot racetrack to watch racing. So a lovely experience there. And Frankie Dettori. I think we're going to miss him. I'm trying to come to grips with racing in Europe and globally without a Frankie Dettori, because at the end of 2023, Frankie Dettori retires and there's no more of him riding.
Yeah, you know where I was in 1986, Lance?
I am not sure you were born.
I wasn't, not even close. The Royal Ascot continues on Friday with day 4 action, and you can catch it on SportsMax starting at 7:30 a.m., 8:30 Eastern Caribbean time. At the Track is coming up next. Oh, so much lovely horse racing.